What is your full name?
John Gifford.
And where are you from?
Vernon, Indiana.
Okay. And how old were you in 2009?
45.
So before the Great Recession, were you overly worried about the health of the economy? Why or why not?
Well, right before the recession happened, I wasn't probably smart enough to be worried about it because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I did know that there were a lot of people. I had clients who were in the mortgage business, and they were making a lot of money writing more mortgages like crazy. And I don't know, it just seemed like, I remember I grew up in the grocery business with my father. I remember him always saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I knew people were I had clients who were getting qualified for these really like big homes. And I just thought, gosh, it just wasn't making sense. But I just figured I didn't understand the business. So in hindsight, there were problems happening, I think.
Yeah. And had you experienced economic hardships prior to 2007?
Gratefully, I have not.
How did you discover at first that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
I just remember one time watching television and hearing, or I think it was on TV, hearing that one of the big brokerage houses in New York City was going bankrupt.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one it was, the first one. I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What economic decisions did you and your family make in response to the severe economic situation?
At the time, I just hoped that my business was going to stay strong. We decided in my business, I just tried to cut expenses just to kind of prepare if there was going to be a big downturn.
Mm-hmm.
But I was pretty nervous.
Yeah, I would be too.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to your extended family during this time? How did this impact you?
I think the only thing I know that really happened was my mother ended up, because it affected the stocks that my mother was involved in, and she lost half her retirement.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was just devastated. She would have enough money to live on her own, but she wasn't going to have any money to pass on to her children or grandchildren, and her whole life was to try to pass things on, and so that was really devastating to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. That's really hard. How do you feel about the financial bailout given to the automotive industry during the Great Recession?
Well, my first reaction as a small business owner was they shouldn't have that happen to them. They shouldn't get bailed out, because I wouldn't be able to get bailed out if my business wasn't, if I wasn't doing well, no one's going to bail me out.
Right.
But then, the more I thought about it, I thought maybe it is a way to go, because if you have that many people out of work, that might end up costing the country more than if you just helped out the if you just helped out the country or helped out the business.
Right. Help the country more than the individuals involved.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the expansion of entitlement programs during the Great Recession or Great Depression?
Yeah.
So, like what FDR did in his actions.
I supported that. I thought that was a smart thing to do, to give relief, to help try to expand benefits to people. I've always been a supporter in that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've always felt that I could easily be there.
Right.
I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah. That's a great response. Thank you. So what do you think is our nation's greatest economic concern at this point in time?
Our biggest economic concern, I think, is being able to do business with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And being able to be competitive in the rest of the world. Because it's so different now. It's not just doing business in our own country. It's doing business with the world, who have different currencies and different values. And I guess I see that as our biggest concern.
Okay. And do you think that future recessions or depressions could be prevented? Why or why not?
My guess is they cannot. I think it seems like over history, these are things that happen in a cycle, and although they're different, they come from different causes. It does seem like just periodically we run into these downturns for one reason or the other. So I don't know
Yeah.
if they can totally be prevented. Just don't know.
Yeah, so do you think, how has the Great Recession changed our nation or even the world?
Well, I think for some people, I know it changed there are people I know who it changed their lives for the better because they realized even though they lost everything, they realized what was important.
Mm-hmm.
Some people ended up moving forward, learning how to be more cautious with their money and saving more. Um, I don't, I don't know. On one hand, I think it's there are people who are pushing that they should be able to they should have total control of their own money.
Yeah.
The problem is with that, if they're not smart with it, then they're going to be back on federal programs. It's going to cost us money.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a balance between giving people the independence they want, but somehow managing that risk for the rest of the country if they fail with their financial decisions.
Right. And finally, what lessons should be learned from the Great Recession, if any?
Well, I think if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I think when people are making these huge amounts of profit in the stock market or these deals that I don't know, it just seems. That's all I guess I could just think is that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
And I think I hope. I think if we all realize that this could happen to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Financial
Right,
hardship.
really can.
Financial hardship can happen to anybody, and try to help each other.
Yeah. And thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You're welcome. Thank you for interviewing me.